I'm Deacon Brian McCaffrey of the Diocese of Superior, Wisconsin. May the peace of the risen Lord be with you. Welcome to our second station of light. The disciples run to the empty tomb. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you, because by your holy cross and your glorious resurrection, you have redeemed the world. John and Peter sprinted toward the tomb. John had longer stride. They saw the empty cloths inside. Our reading is from the 20th chapter of John's Gospel. Early in the morning on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb. She saw that the stone had been moved away, so she ran off to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved, and told them, "The Lord has been taken from the tomb. We don't know where they have laid him." At that, Peter and the other disciple started out on their way toward the tomb. They were running side by side, but then the other disciple outran Peter and arrived at the tomb first. He did not enter, but bent down to peer in and saw the wrappings lying on the ground. Presently, Simon Peter came along behind him and entered the tomb. He observed the wrappings on the ground and saw the piece of cloth which had covered the head, not lying with the wrappings, but rolled up in a place by itself. Then the disciple who had arrived first at the tomb went in. He saw and believed. Remember, as yet they did not understand the scripture that Jesus had to rise from the dead. I'm standing at the Great Divide, a ridge here in the North Woods that separates two great watersheds. All the streams and creeks flowing that way eventually work their way into the Mississippi and down into the Gulf. And all the streams and creeks flowing this way enter rivers which go into the Great Lakes and then down the St. Lawrence waterway. At this time of year, as the last of the snow melts and the spring rains begin, the creeks are full, murmuring and bubbling down through the canyons and gorges, racing to meet their destiny. That's what John and Peter were seeking on that first Easter morning. They were racing to the tomb, racing to meet their destiny. They were eager to confirm Mary's witness that the tomb was empty. They were even more eager to see if the empty tomb meant what they thought it might, what they hoped it might. When at last John followed Peter into the tomb, he saw and believed. We should be as eager to meet the risen Lord as those two disciples were. We have such blessed opportunities to encounter him in the scriptures, in the Eucharist, in the poor all around us. Will our enthusiasm and passion for the poor and the faith he has blessed us with be as exuberant and dynamic as these creeks in the springtime? Will we decide today to run in the footsteps of Peter and John? And make no mistake, it is a decision. We are at the cusp of the Great Divide, a choice that needs to be made. Do we embrace faith or do we reject it? When we encounter the empty tomb, do we believe or not believe? Our choice will determine our eternal destiny. We can go in that direction, headed down, headed south, eventually winding up in a great gulf, a great abyss, an emptiness. Or you can turn to your right and head in that direction and encounter something great. Just as all the streams on this side enter into the Great Lakes, you can encounter the greatness of Jesus Christ. And if we choose Christ and grow in intimacy with him, we will eventually come to the way of St. Lawrence, a deacon of the 3rd century noted for his great courage under persecution, his love for the poor, and his willingness to endure martyrdom. Those are our choices. St. Lawrence spent his life racing after the risen Lord, just as John and Peter did. May we have the grace and faith and courage to run with them. And now, let's close our second station with a prayer from St. Gregory Nazianzus, who in the 4th century challenges us to enter the tomb. Be a Peter or a John. Hasten to the sepulchre, running together, running against one another, vying in a noble race. And even if you are beaten in speed, win the victory of showing who wants it more. Not just looking into the tomb, going in. Thanks for joining us at the second station of light. May God bless you abundantly.